You don't need another strategy. Here's what you actually need to figure out why you can't implement the things that you already know. I'm Dr. Brooklyn Storm, former psychologist, now business coach, and I help women just like us to build profitable private practices, usually in under 12 months. Being neurodivergent means I see the patterns that other coaches miss, but it also means I'm a truth teller, so I'm not interested in giving you any business advice that sounds good or might be trending, but doesn't actually work for us. Welcome to the Practice Momentum podcast, where we're going to get your private practice sorted out. Thanks so much for being here, and let's get on with the next episode. Hey there, welcome back to another episode of the podcast. Guess what? Yesterday it was minus 1.8 degrees here in the country when I woke up. I know I didn't want to look at what the temperature was when I woke up this morning, so I haven't. But it was very cold. I also want to say, if you're hearing a little bit of echo this morning, yes, it's because I'm waiting on furniture to be delivered. It's a whole thing. So this room is, well, I've got the desk and the buffet and the fireplace and things like that, but it's a lot of reflective surfaces, so there's a lot of bounce, and I just want to explain, it's not your stereo or your phone, it's all me. I'm sorry. I will have soft furnishings in here soon. I'm just not rushing it. I'm just taking my time. So thank you so much for bearing with me. Today, I want to talk with you, I guess, a little bit about what's happening over here. And in a way, as I was making some notes, because I wanted to make sure I covered everything for you this morning. And I know sometimes I take notes, most of the times I don't. But the reason I did this morning was because I thought I had received a few emails during the week, and some of them were just so moving, like really heartfelt, talking about how they've been listening to the podcast and, you know, following along on what's happening. So not so much with the work stuff, but really interested in what's happening with the pivot of the business and the move and all these other things, and that they were just really appreciating hearing about that and what it looks like to unfold in the way that it is. And some of them, not all, but some of them had asked me, could I speak a little bit more into it? So I thought I would do that today. So that's what I'm going to do. It's still businessy, don't worry, because what I'm going to do today, and maybe, I don't know, I don't want to commit to anything and then not follow through, but what I'm thinking now is that maybe today and then periodically over the next few episodes, maybe talk through what's happening so that we're documenting it, and then I can put it together for you as a little bit of a process or a framework in some kind of, you know, tool that you can use down the track if you decide that you want to do something different with your business and maybe even your life too. So think of it as me documenting this in real life as it's happening. And with that in mind, understand that what I share with you today, maybe I may reflect on 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, 2 years down the track, like we all do, and see it through a different lens. But I can only share what I'm experiencing now. So you're going to get it live in the moment. So I guess what's happening is this isn't just about the pivot with the business. This is, I guess, bigger than that. Like, in a way, I want to say it's me becoming more of myself. Isn't really the way I would describe it, but I guess just not dialing myself down so much anymore. This is me, I guess, coming back to life. Imagine I had been a wilted plant for the last 6 years, and now I'm out in the sunlight and the fresh air, and I'm getting fed and watered on a regular basis, and the energy's coming back, right? And the life is coming back. And, you know, I haven't fully bloomed yet, but it's definitely in the process. And yeah, I would say it's probably gone from being a little seed in the pot out there in the sun that you look after for a little while, and the shoots are starting to come. And I think that's what I'm experiencing now. And it may be from your angle watching what you're perhaps seeing, but I'm by no means finished. It's so fun to talk about this stuff, isn't it? I love it. So, okay, thinking about documenting it, I wanted to go back to the first step. And I think looking back, the first step was becoming aware of what I wanted through my experience of what I didn't want. So, it was a pretty dark place. And at that time, which I'm not going to go back over, you can listen to that in previous episodes. I think I discussed it. I can't recall. But anyway, it wasn't a good place, and it was very easy. It would have been very easy for me to just give up because, like so many of you do, you try and you try and you try and it just doesn't work for whatever reason. And then you kind of feel like, what's the point? And so I could have stayed in that space, but I didn't. I reminded myself about what I choose to believe. And what I choose to believe is in manifesting. And one of the principles of manifesting is, and this is why I'm like fully back into it at the moment, by the way, the manifesting, it helped me in a dark period 10 years ago as well. As you know from previous episodes. So I found myself just naturally going back to the manifesting. It wasn't intentional, right? It was just like I was searching for, there must be another way, and that's how I reconnected with the manifesting. But anyway, one of the things that I believe to be true when it comes to manifesting is a belief in things are always happening for me, not to me. And the reason that I choose to believe that is because it gives me back autonomy. It puts the ball back in my court. It means I'm no longer at the mercy of other situations, people, places, or things. It means that even if I don't agree with or like or feel good or whatever about what's happening now, it means because the ball's in my court, I can do something about it, or I can trust that I may not understand why it's happening for me right now, but that there's going to be a reason and a purpose, and that will be revealed to me when the time is right. And maybe that time is based on things that are within my ability to influence or not, but I chose to believe that. That was the first thing, and that I think really helped me. The other thing that I chose to believe was, remember, because I wasn't using all my tools and strategies around the manifesting, but the concept or the principle that whenever there's a problem, at the same time the solution is also simultaneously there. It can't not be. Some people call it the law of duality, other people just call it duality, some people call it polarity, some people call it gender. It's just meaning that whenever this is happening, the opposite is also happening at the same time. And I think that was very helpful because it reminded me that although what I was experiencing wasn't necessarily what I wanted, that there was a way out. And then from there, I was able to recognize that maybe I just wasn't seeing it. And that allowed me to think about and reflect on what could I be thinking, doing, being, saying that's getting in the way of me seeing what's possible. So I guess I was having a bit of a pity party, a big pity party. And even with my friends, I was engaging in a lot of pity party stuff. And that was creating a curtain. And I didn't realize that there was a curtain. And it stopped me from being able to see what was on the other side. So I think being able to remember that and, really, I guess, have faith in that, have faith meaning that I trusted, that I was going to believe, that I did believe. I think that really helped a lot because it took a lot of pressure off me to solve things. It took a lot of pressure off me to fix things. It kind of felt like it lightened the load, and it meant that I could just say, okay, I'm just going to experience what I'm experiencing, do what is within my control, what I can, and also just trust that this is for something better. And I didn't realize it because I was in it, but I can see now that everything was disintegrating around me in a really big way. and I was just swept up in the undertow of it, and I didn't have the objectivity that I bring to a conversation with my clients, for example, when they're in that sort of experience. I get it, but because I'm on the outside, I have the objectivity, and I can say to them, hey, you know what, sometimes things have to dismantle like this in order for the next thing to be built, like to develop, to emerge, to come through, to come forward. And a lot of the time my clients find that shift in perspective incredibly helpful and useful and powerful. But I didn't have anyone around me to remind me of that in the moment. And so I think it probably just took a lot longer for me to process independently. But anyway, they were two of the things that I think right at the beginning really helped me a lot. And also the third thing was remembering that contrast brings you clarity. So I think I can see this with many of the clients that I work with too when they're struggling. It doesn't matter if it's their business, their relationship, like whatever it is, they're struggling with something. They get so focused on the struggle and they don't recognize that the struggle is saying, okay, this is exactly what you don't want, which means what you do want is going to be on the other side. So if you don't want this, what could the opposite be? And a simple activity, like you've heard me talk about it before, getting the piece of paper and folding it in half long ways, and then writing all the things that you're not happy about on the left and writing the total opposite on the right, gives you a lot of clarity very, very quickly. And that can shift the energy for you in terms of your mood, because suddenly there's hope. Suddenly there's, oh, okay, I see now why this doesn't feel so good over here. And from that place, you can then start to say, okay, now I see what I need to do. Or your motivation starts to return, or all those kinds of things start filtering back. And that's what I mean, like you start to feel a little bit less yucky. That's what I mean when I say your energy shifts and your energy changes. You kind of go from feeling yucky or, sad or depressed or something like that, 10 out of 10, to maybe just like 9. And then 8.5, and then 8. That's what I mean. Like the energy starts moving and shifting. You'll never be able to manifest anything when you're in that state of things never work for me. It's not fair. I've tried everything. It's all your fault. I don't have any control. They're responsible. It's cost of living. Like if you're an anger and, resentment and shame and not good enough and lacking worth, you will never, ever, 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 ever be able to manifest anything from that space. You just can't, because you're constricted, right? You're not seeing what's possible. And it's perfectly okay, by the way, to be in that space, but don't stay in it longer than is required. It's very important to feel your feelings. Very important to feel your feelings. But it's going to become problematic if it starts to affect your sleep, your health, your well-being, the well-being of the business, how you're showing up for your clients, the revenue that the business is bringing in, whether or not you do your marketing, all those kinds of things. If it starts to be impacting on those things, it's time to get some support and get yourself out of that slump, because it's going to be almost impossible. I mean, imagine trying to, and maybe you have been in this position, right, where you've been feeling like giving up and that nothing's working, but everyone's telling you, including me, oh, you've got to be visible and you've got to show up and you've got to do the things. How hard is it for you to show up when you feel like, what's the point? It doesn't work. No one likes me. Cost of living, my fees are too high. I'm not on Medicare, this. And then you show up. You're probably going to show up substandard, right? You're going to put out generic content or worse. You're going to get ChatGPT to make it for you. You're just going to throw it up. And then that's going to become part of your self-fulfilling prophecy. And you'll say, see, I still am doing my marketing and I still got no results, right? That's a very, very different energy to be in. And it's going to be super duper hard for you to get any result when you're in that space. That's why being intentional around using that space to say, okay, what's it showing me I don't want, and how, like, what's it showing me on the other side that I do? Something like that, very simple exercise, can start to shift the energy, and you can start to take different actions now because you're in a different space, and you'll start to see different results. Okay. So that was the first thing, like listening to what I wanted. And I just did that activity that I told you about. I listened to what I wanted, and then I had to be perfectly okay with it, which is challenging sometimes because you think to yourself, oh gosh, I want too much. Do I have the right to be asking for this? Is it okay for me not to be seeing 40 clients a week and working 6 days and 5 nights and, weekends, and not have a life and all these kinds of things? Like, you can question, is it okay for me to have all of these things? And so that's what I mean by being perfectly okay with it. Do whatever you need to do to be perfectly okay with understanding what you do want. Okay, without feeling ashamed, without feeling guilty about it. That's what I mean. You've got to be okay wanting the thing that you want. And something that I can share with you that you may find helpful is, I believe that it wouldn't have popped into your awareness to have the things if you weren't meant to have them. Right? I think, there's a saying that says what's desired by you is destined for you. And I fully believe that. I firmly believe that. So maybe take that and use that if that will help. Okay, then. The second thing was to become aware of what was already around me. And what I mean by that was to start noticing things. And then get curious about why you're seeing them now. And start to, with that curiosity, start to think, okay, I wonder why I'm suddenly seeing this. I wonder why this is popping up on my Instagram feed now. I wonder why I feel like this, or thought this thing, or did that thing. And you might not realize it in the moment. Again, it could be retrospective. But the things that I'm talking about are, and it happened to me without even really thinking about, like, oh, I'm going to go and buy furniture, right? So just thinking about the house. In the past, I just would have bought all my old furniture and I just would have worked with it and then maybe replace things over time. But this time, I'm happy to sit in it's got furniture, don't get me wrong, but it's not fully furnished because I just decided that I'm going to take my time and get things that I want. I'm not going to fill it up with stuff just to fill it up with stuff, right? I want to take my time and find the things that I want. I noticed, and again, this wasn't intentional, but I just noticed one day I was looking for furniture, and then next thing you know, I'm looking at expensive watches. Now, I don't wear a watch. You can go back and see all my trainings. You can see all my videos. I swear you will not see a watch on me. It's a long story, but basically my first marriage. My husband at the time, he wanted a Breitling watch, and I never heard of a Breitling watch before, and he wanted that for the wedding present. So anyway, of course, I found the Breitling watches and had a heart attack when I saw how much they were, but I just, it wasn't optional for me. He wanted that for his wedding present. I was going to make it happen, and I made it happen. And anyway, so on the wedding day, I was super duper excited to give him this watch. And then I was super duper excited to see what he got me because he hadn't asked me what I wanted. So I just assumed he was going to get me something that he thought that I wanted. And because he knew me really well, I was super excited to think what that could be. But the wedding day came and went, as did the honeymoon, and no wedding present materialized. So yeah, I was a bit gutted by that. I think it did colour my attitude early on in the marriage because I felt not really cared about, And so from that point on, I just never had a watch because of the association I'd made with the watch. But this is what I'm saying, like here I am now looking at furniture, but find myself looking at expensive watches. And next thing you know, I've bought myself a watch. And I mean, I was going to say, like, I would never do that. And it's true. I have never bought myself a nice watch. So that's what I'm saying. And then, you heard about the artwork. I was looking for furniture, and then, it's a hop, skip and a jump away. And now I'm looking at art, and I've never purchased a piece of like real art. And here I am buying it, like speaking with the artist, learning about her background, her story, the story of the piece that I felt really drawn to. I shared it on my Facebook, and you can go and have a look at it there if you're curious. And, I just like, who does that? Like, I've never had a gallery piece of art in my whole entire life, yet here I am buying the art. And it wasn't until I started thinking about it, as things were arriving, and as I was like looking at them and stuff like that, like I remember coming home and I was hanging up the piece of artwork, and I sort of stepped back and looked at it, and beneath it there were a couple of pieces of, other art actually that I purchased a couple of weeks ago. They're clay bowls, and they're in sort of natural clay, textured, and on the inside, so they're sort of a neutral tone on the outside, and then on the inside they have like a ceramic glaze, and it looks, I don't know, like charcoaly, bronzy color, and you pop a tea light candle in this little bowl, and it just like illuminates, and it throws like copper and gold and amber and those kinds of light colors around the space. And so I got a biggish one, and then I got a littler one, and I had them on the buffet underneath the art, and I was just having a moment, I think, where it was coming together, and I thought to myself, wow, like this feels really good. And I noticed in that moment that that was the first time that I'd really felt that. And that's what got me reflecting on, oh, hang on, and you got the watch. So then I went and had a bath and I was thinking and journaling in the bath, and I thought, okay, so I got the watch, I got the art, I got these other little pieces of art over here. I'm taking my time with my furniture. I've been getting the dimmer switches and this and that put in the house. And I started to get curious, and I was thinking why and what's going on. And that's when I realized that the identity shift was already happening. And this is what I was sharing with you previously. Your identity needs to shift in order for you to experience what you really most want to have. For me, my word for the year at the start of the year was spaciousness. I really wanted that. And when I shared it with some of my clients, they adopted that as one of their words too for the year. And now I've made the move, like physically, I'm in this new house, in this new area in the country, regional Victoria, and I'm loving it. Every day I have moments where I'm filling my lungs, and it's not intentional. I'm just walking along, and I stop and I'm looking at, the landscape, and I just inhale. I just like take this great big breath in, and then I hold it for a minute, and then I just let it all out. And it's not that I'm telling myself, okay, Brooklyn, like stop, pause, take a moment. Like, it's not me going through the motions. I've done it, and then Buddy and I will continue walking, and then I realize, oh my gosh, like I'm stopping and I'm taking these great big breaths now. I'm filling my lungs. Or I'll be walking along and my cheeks will be sore, and I think, oh, why are my cheeks so sore? And then I realize I've been, grinning like an idiot the whole time because I'm just so happy. So it's the identity stuff happens, and you're not aware of it because it's who you are. I know this is hard to wrap your head around perhaps, but you're already becoming that person. There's already a part of you that is that person, and it's just starting to come through now. And the other version of you is starting to dial back now, right? They're still there, yes, but it's like the scales are tipping in the favor of this other version of you. That version of you is now starting to come forward now, and you're not even saying, I'm going to stop and take a deep breath. You're not saying, I'm going to get myself a watch. I'm going to get myself a piece of art for my wall. You're not even thinking that. It's just happening because it's just who you are. You're just the type of person that goes and gets a nice watch. You're just the type of person who goes and gets a piece of art. You're just the type of person who smiles when she's walking her dog. Right? You're just the type of person who waves at strangers now and says hello to people. You're just the type of person who goes to the farmer's market. Like, it's just who you are. Do you understand? It's not about being intentional and saying, this is what I'm going to do. I think when you're doing that, you're wanting to become it and create it. But the identity is like, you're already it. We're just bringing it forward now. And yeah, as I said, it just happens without you really tuning into it. So that's what this second part of the process is. I think it's taking a moment here and there to take stock and think, oh, why did I just do that thing? Like, even get this. When was it? 2 days ago now. I'm very proud of myself. It could be 3. No, I'm pretty sure it was 2. It was 2. I bought a sofa. Now I have to assemble the sofa, and it's been sitting in a box a huge box in my lounge room for maybe, a week now, I think, or 10 days, thereabouts. And there was a smaller box with it, and then there were other smaller boxes. So for some reason, 2 days ago, I was going to come and do something for work. I think it was work on my messaging or something like that. And I was all set to do it, and I was in the mood, and it was all great. But I walked past these boxes, and for some reason I just thought to myself, I might just undo the top little box and see what it is. And it was the slip cover for an ottoman that I purchased. And I looked at it and I thought, oh, I really like that. I better fold that up and put it away for when the handyman comes, which I haven't organised yet, but for when the handyman comes and he'll want to, use it and everything. So I'll just take it out of its box, put the box in the recycling, put this away. And then that led to me opening another box, doing the same thing, and then another box, doing the same thing. And then I saw the smaller of the 2 big boxes, right? And I knew it was going to be the footstool, the ottoman. And I just thought to myself, geez, I'd love to have a go at assembling that. And what I heard in my head was, well, you can't, because you're no good with, assembling furniture. Like, going back to IKEA days here, you're no good at doing stuff like that. So just don't. It's going to be a nightmare. You'll end up in tears. You will, what do they call it? Like, you'll take the thread off the screw. Like, just don't do it. But then I was aware that I was thinking that. And I said to myself, now hang on. Old you said stuff like that. What does new you want to say? And what I experienced pop into my head was something that went along the lines of, oh, that was easier than I thought. Or actually, this is easier than I thought it was going to be to put this thing together. And then that actually aligned and that felt true. So I thought, I'm going to just use that as a little bit of a mantra. And so I did, and I was just repeating it in my mind. And I cut the strapping tape off the box. And I just didn't allow myself to get anxious or panicky. I just cut it into smaller pieces and put it in the bin. And then I took the cardboard lid off the great big cardboard box, and I just didn't let myself get anxious. I just said, oh, this is easier than I thought it was going to be. And I tore the box up into little pieces to put in the recycling bin. And then I lifted everything out of the box, and I just kept saying, oh, that was easier than I thought it was going to be to lift it out of the box. And I tore up the bottom part of the cardboard box because I was just wanting to do things I knew I could do. And then I took everything out of the plastic, and then I remembered, you should lay everything out. So I laid everything out, and then I checked I had everything, and that felt good. And then I looked at my instructions and I thought, okay, this looks easier than I thought. And I just kept saying it to myself. And anyway, the whole thing is, it took me 13 minutes from getting the idea I was going to do it to actually having a completed ottoman. Done, assembled, easy, easier than I thought. And now that's become embedded in my identity, that I'm just somebody who finds that, who often thinks that things are going to be tricky, but they end up being easier than she thought. And I've got evidence of that. That's believable for me now. And that's locked in, right? So I was saying to my friend Karen yesterday, oh, I've got this, other great big box, and like I keep side-eyeing it thinking, am I brave enough to have a go at assembling the whole entire sofa? And I think if I tell myself it's easier than I thought, I reckon I probably could. So I'll see how I go over the weekend. I may or I may not. I'm not going to put myself under any pressure, but that's what I'm saying. Like, get curious, because when you take a moment and you start to look back over the last couple of days and you notice things pop out at you, like building the ottoman, which you would never normally do, going to the farmer's market, which you would never normally do, smiling on the walk, which you would never normally do, like those kinds of things, the little notification bell from the universe, from source, from Holy Spirit, from whatever you choose to believe in, that it's happening and it's working and things are shifting for you at an identity level. And that needs to happen first, right? So I think that's what people talk about when they say act as if. But I think when we hear that phrase, act as if you've already got a fully booked diary, I think that could be so much of a stretch. And that's perhaps why it works for some people for some things, but I feel, and I don't have any evidence to support this other than anecdotal, but I think that can trip people up because it feels so far removed from what their current experience is, So I think it's the same idea, but for me, it's about being okay with the identity and just letting the identity emerge, because it does. You don't have to will it into existence or conjure it up. It just does. And yes, you can help it along. Like some of the things that I do to help the embodiment of my identity is I will be intentional in terms of if I'm going to buy there's a lovely little place near me. It's like a pantry type place, and you can go there and you can get, barbecue sauce, tomato sauce, sardines, flour, meat products, different cheeses. It's all locavore stuff, right? But you pay through the nose for it. I like to go in there and have a look from time to time to see, what they've got. And I'm just starting to the version of me who's living her best life, who enjoys the best that, the country has to offer, that enjoys the best that her world and, the universe has to offer. She buys stuff from shops like this. And so I started by just buying a little thing, I think it was a bag of chips, and I'm not even joking, it was a bag of potato chips, Smith's chips or Kettle chips. It was I'm going to say it's high end just because of the price, but it was a bag of chips, and I think it wasn't a little 50-gram bag. It was a medium-sized bag, like the size of a medium bag of Twisties perhaps, and I paid $8.50 for it. And that felt expensive to me, but I I wasn't expecting it to be $8.50. I thought it was going to be expensive, but not that. And then, anyway, I came out of the shop and I opened them up in the car while I'm parked out the front of the shop because I wanted to see what an $8.50 bag of chips tasted like. And do you know what? It was fine, It was no different to, I guess, a bag of kettle chips or rock deli chips, right? But the difference was I was taking a step. And so it was a baby step with something that was low risk, $8.50. And then a few days later, I was in there again, and I'm just exposing myself to these things because I want to feel like I belong there. This is my identity now. This is what I do. And so that time that I was there, I got, again, nothing too expensive, but I did get a bottle of wine. Okay. And I think it was $40 or something like that. But I got the bottle of wine and I came home and I really just enjoyed drinking that wine. And then a few days later, I was back there and I think I bought sausages or something. You know, I think I paid $22 for 5 sausages. It was like, anywho. But when I say that I'm being intentional, it's not that I'm leading from intention. I'm using intention to react to limiting beliefs that pop up. Like if I went to buy that packet of chips and I knew it was going to be $8.50, old me probably would have said, oh, that's ridiculous. Don't go and waste your money on, you know, a packet of chips. So as soon as I become aware of that type of thinking, that's when I bring intention forward to help the identity along a little bit. And so I'll just ask myself, okay, the version of me that I'm starting to embody more, does she buy these chips or not? And sometimes she does, sometimes she doesn't. It's okay. I'm not like forcing myself to go and do things. I'm checking in and I'm just like double checking, okay, is this fear and scarcity and something trying to keep me safe here? Or does the version of me that lives her best life over here get a nice bag of chips from time to time? And I thought, do you know what? She gets the nice bag of chips. She gets like, you know, the nice sausages. And then the thing was, like, I got those sausages and I got home and I cooked the sausages and I was so excited to sit down and eat them, you know. And I realized that I did want some sauce, which I know some of you are probably thinking, why would you go and ruin like nice sausages with sauce? But I did want some sauce. And anyway, so I had to go back down to the pantry because the little supermarket here is tiny, whiny. And well, being in the country, as you know, things often are only open on a Wednesday to a Sunday. And they're often only open from 10 till 3. So you got to work around that. And anyway, I found myself back at this little pantry and yeah, I think I spent like $19 on a bottle of sauce, which just looks like, you know, the Master Foods sauce, how it's in those yellow and red bottles with the screwy lids that kind of look pointy like a teardrop, like a triangle. It looks like that. Anywho, it's from France or something. This is what I'm saying. Anywho, so yeah, when you're being intentional, I would say maybe don't lead with that. Like let your identity do what it's going to do and you won't even be aware of it. You'll notice it retrospectively. So that's part of the work. But the intention comes when you become aware of a block, a belief, a jolt that you sort of experience or feel about why you can't, shouldn't, you know, mustn't, not good enough. That's when come back with, well, hang on, wait. I just want to check in here. Does this version of me that I'm moving into do the thing, have the thing, be the thing? And if so, green light, go and do it. Acknowledge the fear with love, let it go, and then pat yourself on the back because you're breaking a pattern. All right. So, yeah, when you're able to do that, like you look back at the last week or the last month and you'll start to see they stand out, you know, and I call it joining the dots because you will notice them. It's not something you could ask your therapist or your coach to see because we can only go by what you tell us, but you're living with yourself 24/7. You will know the things that are different for you that you're doing now that you normally wouldn't do. But you can see because you're now joining the dots, oh, this is making sense. I'm already in the process of, you know, more fully stepping into this new version of me, this part of me, this next version of me, right? So yeah, you join the dots, and when that happens, that's your expansion. Okay, that's your expansion. That's your spaciousness moving in right there. And the third thing, right? So that's one, not steps, but I guess they were 1 and 2, leads us to the third thing, which is that it locks in this identity, right, that you're moving into. It's the confirmation, it's the knowing. It's gone from, it would be really great if I had the fully booked diary. It'd be really great if I had less one-to-one clients. It'd be really great if I had passive income. It'd be really great if I was living somewhere nice. It'd be really great if I had a nice couch. It'd be really great if, instead of going to Just Cuts for $20 at the shopping centre, I spent $350 at a high-end salon and just got a complete restyle. Do you know what I mean? It goes from things being over there, an idea, a wish, a want, a desire, to it's now happening without you needing a strategy. You see? You didn't need a strategy. It's just starting to happen. Now, don't get me wrong. There's absolutely a place for strategy, and I think the practical things. But in order for those practical things to work, you need to know that they're the right things for you and that they're going to work for you and that you're the sort of person who can carry them off. I think I see this a lot, just to go back to that example before, if you're in that place of stress, you're crying, you're not sleeping, you're very emotional, I think it's going to be really hard for you to fill your diary or to market your practice compared to when you're in a better space, right? And part of that is how you're seeing yourself and what you're allowing yourself to receive, be, do, have, all those kinds of things. But by the time we're in like stage 3 and everything's kind of, now you're seeing the dots are joining, right? You've got the watch and the piece of art and the farmer's market and you're smiling in the country on your walk and stuff like that. That then is like the evidence out there in the world, in the 3D world, the part of your brain needed to believe that you're who you say you are. And that is the anchor that then lets you say, great, I'm all in now. It's happening. I'm doing it. And then you get even more excited to do more reflections and start to join more of the dots. And your brain now is looking for it and it's finding it. And so the evidence is building. Now your confidence is building. The identity is shifting and strengthening through this embodiment, right? So anyway, and now the real action begins. Because you've got the evidence, right? You've got the proof that part of your brain, the ego that was like doubt, this isn't going to work, this isn't safe, that's gone. You've got proof, it's happening, it's working, this is who you are, you're going to be just fine. And you make the decision, great, I'm all in, I'm doing it. And that's when the action starts, those practical things, right? So step 4 then for me was after that, then I started to think about, okay, I want to research now the competition. And that's not a great word because I don't believe in competition. I believe there's room at the table for all of us, right? We all get a seat at the table. So it's not about that, but I meant other people in the space that I want to work. I wanted to have a look at, is there anybody working with my ideal client using the approach I want to be using? What are they doing? What does it look like? What do their offers look like? What's their messaging look like? What does their branding look like? And so this is me now moving into, it's done, it's happening, I'm pivoting, And now I'm being practical. I want to go and have a look. I'm in the research phase. And for me, that looks like just Googling, people that are in the space that I want to be in and checking them out basically. And not only that, but noticing for myself the reactions that I'm having. So when I look at somebody else's website, is probably not a great example because I'm brutal with websites, I know. But when I'm having a look at somebody else's business on the internet and, their messaging and stuff like that, I'm having an experience, right? I'm thinking, like you do, oh, this sounds interesting, or who does she think she is? Or that doesn't make any sense. Or that was written by ChatGPT. Or like I'm having reactions, I'm having responses. So I wanted to be aware of what I was experiencing when I was looking at other people's businesses. And, that was interesting because it was a mix of things. Like I looked at two main businesses and they were similar but different, and I ended up like making notes about my reactions and what I liked, what I didn't like, what resonated, what didn't resonate, information about them in dot points and their offers, information about myself in dot points and my potential offers. And then I ended up kind of doing like mind mapping, squiggly lining, and seeing like what are the things the three of us have in common. What are the things that the three of us deviate on? What's my unique point of difference here? How am I different to both of them? What can I contribute to this space without duplicating what already exists? Because I don't want to do that, right? And I wanted to really, I guess, just notice how I was feeling. And it was very interesting. So I just did that, and it was just like me making notes on my Spirax notebook. So I did that. I was just looking for, similarities and differences, my emotional reaction, my intellectual reaction. And what happened was I came away from it feeling locked in. Like it confirmed for me the space, I found my space at the table. It confirmed for me my ideal clients are there and want this type of thing. It confirmed for me that I'm different to, other practitioners and business owners. It was just very, very confirming. I found it incredibly helpful. It removed doubt. It removed good enough worries. It removed, any sort of flighty moments of imposter syndrome, like can I, could I, should I, it removed all of that. And it just, it even just gave me more anchoring, more confirmation. Yes, you're right where you need to be. Go for it. So that was incredibly helpful. I think when it comes to just thinking about private practice, but it could be any business, I think sometimes while we know it's a good idea to go and do your market research, and if you've ever done like a proper business plan, you will know it's recommended that you do your market research and see how many people are also doing what I want to do. How are they doing it differently? Is there demand? Like all of this, you want to do that. But I think it's a step that, in my experience, I think a lot of women don't do because of things like imposter syndrome, worrying that it's going to make them feel not good enough, or they already don't feel good enough. So the last thing they want to do is compare themselves or things like that. They don't understand. You've got to do your market research. So it gives you your confidence, basically. I think and it's not the only thing that gives you confidence, but it's one that can. So I think if you're in any type of business and you're not feeling confident about it, maybe go and do a little bit of market research. It'll give you clarity straight away, and that's going to be incredibly helpful for you. The next thing that happened, stage 5 or step 5, whatever you want to call it, was I want to use the research I've done and the realizations and ahas that I've had as a result of it to develop my messaging. But it's not something that I'm going to do in 10 minutes. It's not something I'm going to use AI to do for me, because the AI can't create the messaging without having all of the information that it needs about my business. And I don't have it all together yet. So if I did go and use AI to help me with my messaging, it's probably going to be very frustrating, because I've got a feeling, I've got a sense, I've got a knowing of how I want it to sound, what I want it to look like. But because AI doesn't have access to my brain, it's going to do its best to try and help me. But I'm going to be telling it all the time, no, that's not it. You're close, but it's not there. Keep going, try again, make it sound like me. And I'm going to plow through all my tokens. I'm going to get, bothered by it. It's going to leave me feeling not lit up, right? I'm going to probably feel frustrated and drained and like AI is useless. And then, I don't know, it could go either way. Maybe I just walk away and don't come back to it again, or I end up going with what the AI generated, even though it's not 100% landing for me. It's not lighting me up, but I'm just thinking AI must have it right. And so I'm going to put it on my, give it time is what I'm saying. So I've been playing around with my messaging for a week. Not every day and not for hours every day, for moments in the day. So sometimes I'll feel inspired, I'm in the mood, and I will just grab one of my many notebooks. I've got them in every room of the house with pens, and I will just pick up one of my notebooks and I'll just quickly write down what's coming to my mind. And then I can absolutely go and use that and work with that with AI, but it's always got to come from me, right? I don't want anything being generated by AI for me when it comes to connecting with my ideal clients. I want that all to be from my heart and soul, energy and spirit. I will use AI to improve it, correct it, tidy it up, absolutely, but not to create it. So I'm just brain dumping, stream of consciousness writing, things like that. And then I go back and I have a look at what I've written, and sometimes I'll just scribble right over the top of it because I can't use it, it's not usable. But then other times there'll be a sentence that jumps out, or there's a phrase that I've written down that really locks in for me and I really love it, and it's me, and I know it's going to land for my clients too because they're like me, and or all of that. So don't rush the messaging. It's really, really important to allow yourself time and space. It's going to have to percolate. As I said, it's been a week now that I've been seriously aware that, okay, I'm at the stage now where I want to get it done, because without the messaging, I'm not able to create the copy. And so it's like bottlenecking my marketing. It's bottlenecking the revamp of my offers. It's bottlenecking discovery calls. So it's creating a bit of a bottleneck at the moment, and that's okay. It's more important to get it right for me, and what looks right now could change in 6 months or 12 months. But I need to get it right because everything else that I create is going to be based on it. So just let it take as long as it's going to take. You can't rush your messaging. Yes, use AI to help you, of course, but I do genuinely think it's better to do it yourself. So you're probably thinking, well, I can't just put my whole life and business on hold, for weeks at a time while I'm working on my messaging. I need clients. I've got a mortgage. I get it. I'm in the same position, right? I've got a mortgage. I would love to be working with clients in this new space that I'm moving in as well. But I understand that it's going to take time and it can't be rushed. So I'm not going to put everything on hold. I'm going to be doing other things in the meantime, right? Other things that are in my control right now that I can influence, right? So I'm going to do things like exploring branding, for example. Do I want to keep what I've got and maybe give it a facelift? Do I want to start from scratch with brand new branding? What do I want my fonts to look like? What do I want the colors to look like? How do I want to be writing? What's the vibe? So yeah, there's that. And one of the things that really helps me with this is to write it out. Okay. So one of the things that I wrote that I can share with you, because I'm reading it right now, is I wrote, and this isn't going to make any sense, but I'll just, because it's just stream of consciousness writing, okay? But this is exactly word for word what I've got written down. I said I want the branding to have a really luxe, rural, regional vibe, not country kitchen or cottage core, that reflects what I'm loving right now. The rolling hills, the lush pastures, the expansiveness of the landscape, the sky, the green, the blue, the filling your lungs with clean, fresh air, the freshness of the rivers and the creeks that are around me, the delight I experience whenever I see a country animal like the rabbits, the wombats, the deer, the cows, the bulls, the sheep, the chickens, the miniature horses, the cockatoo, the black cockatoo, the rosellas, the lyrebirds, the frogs, the snakes, the horses, the handmade pottery in the great big kilns, the, really expensive rustic bar that's, 5-10 minutes drive from me down the road, things being handmade, approachable, warm, smoke, chimney, fire, abundance, the connection that I feel to nature, to the earth, to something greater and bigger than me, to higher thought, to the feeling of my potential being limitless, of faith, knowing and trusting that things are going to work out for me. Trust, knowing, belief, asking and allowing myself to receive, giving, local and ready. Do you see, there's no way AI could have come up with any of that, because that is me on a page right there. So that's what I'm saying. Don't use AI to come up with your stuff. What I can do is I can take what you just heard there, what I written, and I can use it in the AI, and I can say, right, this is a brain dump of mine about how I want my brand to feel and how I want my potential clients to feel when they find it, right? When they come across it, I want them to feel like a taste of just what's possible for them too. And, let's work together to create some branding around it. I'm going to get a very different result to if I just went to ChatGPT or Claude and said, let's create some branding, right, for my therapy business, and we tell it we like a tree of life or a lotus or, the traditional things, which they're perfectly okay, but put your spin on it, right? So anyway, I can work on the branding while I'm waiting for the messaging, right? And actually, there's probably messaging in what I just shared with you from my brain dump that I can pull out, right? I can see things like higher thought, the limitless potential, the faith, the trust, the knowing, the belief, the asking and receiving, the giving, the word ready, right? I can see freshness, expansiveness, reflects, clean, fresh, delight was in there. So I can start to even pull out words from what I just shared with you there to start exploring what my messaging might be, right? And that was just a brain dump while I was heating up Buddy's chicken this morning for breakfast, right? So I wasn't even I got to sit down and do this at 9 o'clock till 10 o'clock. It was just it comes in the moment. And so I just wrote it down. Okay, so let it develop. All right. Don't put your business on hold because you're waiting for one thing over there. Let that one thing be happening and work on other things in the meantime. That's what I'm saying. While I'm working on the branding in the meantime, the messaging is happening over there, of course I could be working on other stuff, right? I could go and be locking down my Instagram account, which I haven't done yet. I could be figuring out, am I going to lock down my Facebook personal profile or am I going to keep it open? Like, do I need to get rid of my community? Do I need to, there are other practical things I could be doing. So you're never putting your practice on hold, okay? All right, which leads me to the 7th stage, or the next sort of step, which was offers, right? And I haven't created mine yet, but I'm at the stage with the offers of thinking about them. So because I've got the messaging happening over there, I'm developing awareness around the branding, and I've done some market research. I can now start to look at the practicalities of the offers that I want to make available to the ideal client that I want to be working with in this new version of my business. And so I want to start thinking about what I want to offer, but in a way that is congruent with what I want, right? And I do not want more than a certain number of clients. I do not want to be offering certain things anymore. There are other things I want to offer more of, So I'm not going to go and create offers because I think I should, or because it's scarcity mindset, or because somebody else is doing it. Therefore, no, I'm going to trust myself, and I'm just going to listen to myself. I'm going to go back to my notes, and I'm going to reflect on what didn't I want, what do I want, and I'm going to ask myself, what offer could I create, or offers could I create that will give me more of the things that I want right now, which is safety, security, abundance, joy, happiness, expansion, like continued expansion, all those kinds of things. So that's this is how you use what you're creating, okay? And so you use that and let it develop offers for you. So that's kind of what's happening now. And yeah, of course, if you want to go back to your market research, go back and do more. If you feel like you want to, you're feeling a little bit stuck. I think if you're stuck, it's probably more mindset than anything else, because you already know what you don't want, therefore you know what you do. But if you're not letting yourself make it happen, then there's something creeping up in there. And I would say it's more like, I don't know, is it possible nobody else is doing it? You're probably just getting in your own way. It'll be stuff around good enoughness, worth, is it worthwhile? Will people think it's worthwhile? Will people buy it? Is it valuable? Is it useful? Am I good enough? If I didn't say that already, imposter syndrome, stories that you're constantly hearing from circles that you're part of, where maybe they're at one place and they're all talking about how hard it is to make money in their business. And so you're hearing that constantly, yet on your heart, you feel like you know a way that might work for you. And you want to trust it and have faith and you want to follow it through. But at the same time, you're holding yourself back because of all the stories that you keep hearing. And they're only happening because you're not around people who are doing the thing that you want to do, or bigger or better or more, or, So that's what I'm saying. You're going to need to shift friendship groups, peer groups, your circles sometimes as well. So you start to hear different messaging. Like, one of the things that really helps me a lot is I don't want to be the smartest person in the room in the communities. I don't want to be the one that's always there fixing things, giving the guidance, giving the strategies, giving the ideas, I want to go into a room where I feel like a fish out of water. I want to go into a room and feel like that because I know I'll grow. the reason I'm feeling like I don't belong there is because they're ahead of me. They've done things that I haven't even considered, that I don't know how to do, that I didn't know needed to be done. Like, for me, that is, I know when I'm in that space, I'm in a good space because that's when I'm going to level up, right? So, and that means, moving away from spaces that maybe we were previously in. So the stuff around it, but have a think about your offers. And if you're not feeling like you've got the idea here, yes, this is what I want to do, and you want to put it out there, you want to create it, but there's something getting in the way, it's probably mindset. But if you do want to go and have a look at other people's stuff, go and have a look at it, but don't copy it. Use it to inform what you do or what you don't want to do, or to get confirmation or not of what you do want to do. Okay. So yeah, I mean, like for me, I can share with you that I was thinking that I don't want to be in the niche now of only private practice for starting, growing and scaling, right? That's been my niche. My niche now is going to be more about the way that I work. So I want to be working now with women from all kinds of backgrounds who might all have different types of goals, not necessarily be health professionals wanting to build their businesses, right? They might have all different types of goals, but there's been something that's been getting in the way for them. So I know that I've just lost my train of thought, which isn't good because I was just talking about something that I know. What was I talking about? Don't copy, don't mimic, use the... Oh, that's right. For the confirmation. Yeah. So I was thinking to myself, okay, if I go make these offers and now my niche is about my philosophy, my approach, the way that I work, not who I work with, it's about how I work, that I can only make this one type of offer. And now how am I going to transition my current offers over to the new one? What am I going to do with my website? All of this. And I was all in my head and I got very tangled up because I think people know me for, well, she's who you go to when you want help with your business for your private practice. But then they're going to come to my website and see something completely different. So I was like, okay, so how do I navigate the transition for a month or 3 months or 6 months or however long I'm going to navigate it for? Do I need to have 2 different buttons on the website? One for if you're this client, click here. If you're a private practice person and you want support, you click here. And, so then I did go back and I had a look at other businesses. And I realized very quickly, I don't need to have 2 windows because the client is the same. I'm working with people who want my approach and my strategy, right? So I don't need to have 2 windows. The women who have businesses, whether they're private practices, whether they're pizza shops, whether they're bakeries, whether they're Adair's furnishings, whatever, like they'll find me for what I'm doing. So it's not about that anymore. So that was really helpful. And then the other thing that was really helpful again was I was in my head around how do I look after people who are in my current audience who may not be in a position financially to work with me in the new version of the business? What do I do there? And when I was doing my market research, it was very interesting because I realized that, I can continue to have things for different people at different price points. I don't have to get rid of anything. They didn't get rid of anything. It was how they marketed. So for example, 2 of the people that I looked at on their websites, they're just talking to more like, a it's not a great way of saying it, but you'll know what I mean, like a premium client in terms of what they can afford to invest to work with you, right? But so that's what they mostly had on their website. And then one of them had other things like different levels, and she also had some group programs and things like that. And I thought, okay. And then the other one, so this one over here that I was just talking about, she led with her premium offers. And after her premium offer or offers, she then went into her groups. And then the other person that I was looking at, she did the opposite. She led with like a $9 a month offer. And then it went up to an offer that was 147, and then, 500, and then boom, 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 boom. So she kind of approached it the opposite way. But what I took away from that was, and the first one, she doesn't have any of her low ticket offers on her website at all. She only puts them on Instagram and Facebook. You can't find her low ticket offers on her website. So I guess what I took away from that was, okay, I can create a model that's going to work for me. Clearly, I'm not restricted in what I offer and how I offer it. And yeah, now it all just feels like, the pennies dropped and I see now. So what I'm saying here is, when you're doing your market research, you too may find you want to go back and have a look at the businesses and the websites that, were most helpful for you to look at earlier on. Look at them again through fresh eyes, through a different perspective this time, and ask yourself, okay, what's my question? What's the answer here? What do I want it to look like? What would this look like for me? And allow yourself to get the confirmation, the reassurance, the affirmation that, you're safe, you're okay, you can do things the way you want to do it, right? There isn't a hard and fast rule. There are different ways of doing things. You want to do the one that the version of you who's emerging at the moment has or does, okay? That's what you want to come back to every single time. So, and then stage 8 is just to, I've already kind of touched on it, but it's just to really notice your behaviors and your self-talk. What have I written down here? Just to notice, like when you do that, when I was telling you about building the ottoman, like the footstool, I noticed that my self-talk initially was, don't do it. This can be a nightmare. You'll end up in tears. This never works out for you. Like I noticed it. Whereas I think sometimes when we have our self-talk, we don't notice it. We just roll with it. Like we don't even stop and have that sort of metacognition of being able to step back and go, I noticed that I was just thinking this. I just noticed that I was just saying this to myself, and it's probably not helpful right now. So want to have that metacognition happening, noticing your behaviors in terms of the behaviors that surprise you. Like for me, it was buying the watch, buying the piece of art, right? Smiling. Who knew? But when you do that, as I mentioned before, you'll start to connect the dots. This is going to reinforce everything. And it's the embodiment, and that embodiment gives you the evidence that it's happening. And then that evidence gives you confidence that you know what you're doing. And now you're just going to take the steps. The action comes, right? Easy. So easy. And the embodiment signs can be surprises because they feel so different to the version of you that you have been recently, right? As you heard me say, like, no way would I have bought the watch, but here I was, seemingly on a whim, but now I know, no, this is my body, my mind, my energy, my soul, now moving into the space. well, that version of me that does this, that has the pivot, that lives here, that feels like this, that eats these things, that has this better sleep, that, interacts with people and isn't a hermit so much anymore, and da 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 da. Yeah, she does these things. And so it's coming through, right? Notice them. It gives you the evidence. That evidence gives you the confidence. And the more you notice, the more you see. And this is what generates your results. Okay? And it works in the opposite as well, mind you. You could call it self-fulfilling prophecy, as I touched on before. Absolutely. I mean, if I was here saying, oh gosh, it's so hard to do this and so hard to do that, that's all I'm going to be seeing and picking up on and noticing. And what's that going to do? That's not going to help me get the house paid off in 12 months. No, it's not. So I'll continue sharing my experience of the pivot as I'm going through it. So I'm just unlocking my screensaver. Oh, it's 11:11. I know that's an angel number. But anyway, some of the things that I'm going to be sharing with you along the way are going to be practical, as you heard here. But I guess I also want to share the other things with you as well, like what's going on that's not tangible. Like, as you can hear, you're hearing about, and maybe you have seen and recognized the shift in me too. And maybe you even started to see it or hear it before I noticed it, right? But what I want you to take away from this episode is trust that the decisions have to happen first. So many times people are struggling with their business or something in their life, and they're saying, what's a strategy? Give me the steps. I need a clear structured plan. So I know what I need to do. But they're the people that will get it and then come back and ask for another one. Get it and come back and ask for another one and another one and another one and another one. And then when you talk with them, they're all in their head, and there's anxiety and there's fear, and they rush through things to tick it off instead of doing it well. It gets rushed. They don't want to take responsibility for things. They want accountability. And it's not because they're not capable. It's not because there's a lack of competency there. It's because they're just not in the place yet where it's happened for them, where they're feeling like, I really am a practice owner now. Okay, well, as a successful practice owner, what's my right next step here? As a successful practice owner, what do I need to release now, let go of now? As a successful practice owner, what do I stop doing now? What do I start doing now? Right? What does this version of me with, a wait list do? How does she look after it? How did she get the wait list? Like, what does she think? What does she say to herself? How does she approach her business? Like, what's her mood like? All those kinds of things. The identity has to come first. We get that through the awareness of what we don't want, what we do want. And then comes the embodiment, which we're not aware of. The embodiment will happen naturally and organically. Then what we want to do is tune into a reflective practice that allows you to spot the blips on the radar of, oh, that wasn't like me. I wouldn't normally go and buy myself a Starbucks. I would normally just make myself a Moccona, right? That's weird. I wonder why I did that. Okay, I wouldn't normally take my car through the car wash and get the, super duper deluxe thing. Normally I would just spray it with a hose on a Sunday. Like, I wonder why I went and did that. Interesting. Start noticing things. The more you notice, the more you're going to see. The more you see, the more proof it gives to your brain that this has happened, and it's going to show you even more, and that builds, and that becomes, energetic leverage for you to be more, do more, have more in the direction of the identity of you that you want to experience. I know. Do you love it so much? I love this so much. Anywho, I have no idea how long I've been talking for, but I am a talker sometimes, especially when I'm on a roll like this. But yeah, I hope that this is helpful for you to hear what it's like as it's unfolding in real life, because I guess, yeah, like all the other episodes, I just want to be fully transparent and authentic and genuine and, just like show you really what it looks like without any misleading. Like, I don't want to wait until this is all finished and I've pivoted and it's all done and then just give you like the highlights and then you go, oh, well, she only did this and this and I tried it, but it didn't work for me. No, I want to show you everything, the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between. And you take what you need, take what lands for you. And it might not all land for you right now, and that's perfectly okay. You can always come back and listen to it at another point in time when it pops into your mind. Oh, hang on, Brooklyn went through something like this. I might go back and see if I can find that episode and see if, my experience is similar to hers. How did she deal with this when this thing happened? Or, that I want this whole entire podcast, but especially this episode, the one before it, and, the next few to be resources for you so that you don't beat yourself up when things aren't going as quickly as you want, so that you understand what the process really does look like behind the scenes. And I think in doing that, you can build better trust with yourself. And I would love it if more people really did share the real truth of what it's like to go through a pivot. I know many of you have pivoted too, and it's almost like starting afresh in some ways, not entirely, but in some ways there are definitely some parallels. But anyway, I just wanted you to see what it's like without any, I didn't want to like dress it up and make it look super duper easy or quick or anything like that. I'm just going to show you like what's happening. So this is what's been happening, and I hope it was really helpful for you. The other thing, by the way, that I realized, I just did this morning, this is why I was late recording the podcast, was I could have touched on this before, but I really feel like I want to dress differently, and I really feel like I want to have different hair. Like, I love long hair, don't get me wrong, and I love myself with long hair, especially when I've used Revita foam and I've got my lovely curls and they're doing what they're meant to be doing. Like, I feel great, but there's also part of me that's like, never really had a hairstyle. And again, you can go back through like 10 or 15 years of my social media and you will see the hair is sometimes out, but usually it's up in a top knot. So I feel like I've probably done that style to death. It's just convenient for me. I think I look better with my hair up than down, but also, like, no offense to my mum or anything like that, but I don't want to get my hair cut and have it short and look like, my mum. I want my own identity. I want my own style. And I've always been like nervous about doing it. But anyway, during the week, I went and booked myself in with a hairdresser, and I get to get like a whole brand new hairstyle on the 4th or 5th of August. And so that's something that I'm really looking forward to. And the other thing was, I want to dress differently, but I don't really have any idea like what I like. And so anyway, I was just journaling about the business and the pivot and stuff like that. And I took what I've been writing down, and I thought to myself, I wonder if there's a style in here that might work for me. And so, I just started looking online for styles that kind of, I guess, matched what I was writing. I kind of like what I just read out to you a moment ago. And anyway, guess what? I found a shop that sells country stuff. I know. And anyway, I had a look at it and I was like, oh my gosh, I want everything in here. It all looks so me. And anyway, so I was like, add to cart. And I was so excited. But then I got waylaid and distracted and didn't follow it through. And then this morning I was trying to watch a movie and I was excited to do the podcast for you. And then I checked my phone for something else. And then I thought to myself, I should just go into the internet and check this thing. And I looked at my tabs and the tab was there for the clothing shop. So I went back in and then I saw that it added more stuff. So then I added more stuff to my cart, and then I looked at my cart and I was like, oh my Lord, I don't need all of this. And I was thinking to myself too, like maybe younger me would have liked some of that, but me now, maybe no. And so it was interesting. And anyway, I fixed up my cart and then I just ordered it. Now it's going to come in like a week or two. And I'm so excited about it. Because now I will soon, in a few weeks, I'll be showing up differently, but as me, as really as me. The me that's been bursting to sort of come through, but hasn't because she's been too busy doing too many things for too many other people and not doing enough things for herself. Well, I'm doing them now. And I am so excited because just to imagine, like, I'll probably still have a black t-shirt. Okay, it's probably going to happen. I don't know. It'll probably never go away. I do like a black t-shirt. I'm a bit Steve Jobs like that. I've got a million of them. It's also the autism though, right? I do like just the ease of just like grabbing something and not having to think about it. But anyway, I'm excited to see like how I'm going to be showing up differently, what I'm going to be wearing, how I'm going to be looking, and yeah, it just feels like so exciting. And if the haircut doesn't work out, big deal, so what? It will grow out. And if the clothes don't fit or they don't look good, big deal, so what? I had to go and I got more clarity around what I really want or what does really suit me, and that gets me a step closer. But I'm most excited about the embodiment because, again, like even with that haircut, it wasn't intentional. I wasn't sitting here saying, if I want to do this pivot in my business, I should absolutely like get a haircut. I wasn't thinking like that. It was more, it came into my mind, oh, hey, what about getting a haircut? What about getting a hairstyle? Do you want to go and have a look at some different hairstyles and then, see which one you really like and have a play around and think which one might look good on you and, would you like to do that? It came through like that. It didn't come through as a requirement or, this, that, or the other. That's what I'm saying. Listen, you will notice and you will see the signs that you're shifting. Okay? Anyway, I hope this was helpful to hear. I'm excited for you with your businesses, and I want to say thank you for listening to my podcast and supporting mine and for being part of the journey with me. But I'll let you go and enjoy your weekend. Have a lovely one. Bye. And that's a wrap for this episode of the Private Practice Podcast. So as you reflect on today's insights, imagine creating real success in your private practice without going down rabbit holes or exhausting yourself with business activities that don't move the needle. With Practice Momentum, you have push of a button help available on demand. It's like having an expert in your pocket ready to guide you whenever you need it. Visit brooklynstorm.com to discover how Practice Momentum can transform your approach to building a thriving practice. I'm Dr. Brooklyn Storm, and I'll see you next time as we continue exploring the mind, business, and spirit of private practice success.